Hello YouTube, and welcome to my new challenge. This time, I'll try to beat Pokemon Emerald with the enemy recovering to full HP if it doesn't die in one hit. So, if I attack an enemy and it doesn't die, this happens. If I get it poisoned or status, or if it even took its own health down using moves like Substitute, Struggle, or Curse, it recovers to full health right away. And of course, this also applies in double battles, where both enemy will get fully healed. As you all know by now, I'm terrible at coding my own ROMs, so I didn't bother changing this message. Plus, what could possibly go wrong? That was always like that, right? Early on in the challenge, I figured there are 3 clear ways I can take down the opponent. Being extremely overleveled, attacking with super effective moves, or getting lucky with a crit. But it turns out there are a few more options. First decision we come across is which starter to choose. I decided to go with Mudkip. I don't stand a chance in the first encounter, so I just waited and prayed the Zigzagoon stops using Growl and eventually decides to take me out of my misery. Thankfully, we don't need to win this battle. The Zigzagoon will just run before it takes you down. So this part is over, but immediately we're faced with a problem. The next rival fight is mandatory, and I have to win it. No big deal, I'll just level up, right? But in order to level up, I need to be able to kill Pokemon in the wild. I actually died to a level 2 Wurmple. I'm already stuck, but I got an idea. Pokemon in the wild have random IV stats, so even though the base stats are the same, some Pokemon can have lower defense than others. In the first encounter, I only did 30% of its health in one attack. However, in this encounter, I can do 50% in one hit. So, how does that help me? Well, there's a way I can double my damage randomly, which I mentioned earlier. A critical hit. So, all I need to do is find encounters with low defense IVs, and then hope I can get a critical attack in order to take them down. Easy. I just need them to be level 2, hope I get a crit, and hope that I don't die. Not complaining, at least we're not completely stuck. After doing that for some time, I repeat the same strategy with the rival battle. I say strategy, but what I mean is just reset and hope I get a lucky crit before it takes me down. I've done much worse challenges in Emerald, so I knew going into this one that I'm waiting for a crit. With this victory, we now have access to Pokeballs. I'm going to start by catching a Zigzagoon, and that's when I realized I'm going to have to catch all my Pokemon encounters while they're at full health. Now with my Mudkip at level 10, I learned Water Gun, so taking down higher level enemies with a stab crit is easier. I can even do it without crits if I get a high roll. I dodged the optional trainers for now, babysat Willy, and along the way, I also catch a Shroomish, Tailo, and a Slackoth. I had to wait for a crit to defeat the Aqua Grunt at Pilaberg's Forest, got the TM Bullet Seed, and after that is when we encounter our first double battle. I honestly thought double battles would be more difficult, but then I noticed that I can have both my Pokemon attack the same target in one turn, before it gets a chance to heal. I still needed to wait for a crit on Seedot, because it kept using Harden raising its defense, but I'm glad the double battle wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. After making it to the first city, and before challenging Roxanne, I was able to evolve my Mudkip. Taking down her Geodudes with one Water Gun is easy. Nosepass, however, was too bulky. Also, this happened. That is 100% intended, totally not a bug. It didn't help that I kept going for Harden, but whether I use special attack like Water Gun or physical attack like Mud Shot will not matter here, because if I get a crit, all the defense boosts she got from Harden will be ignored. It's just a matter of time before I eventually get a crit. and the first gym leader is down. In Dewford Town, I caught a Makuhita, got the Etch and Flash, and the item Silk Scarf. I also trained my Taillow against weak bug Pokemon and Makuhitas from the cave, because it will be very important against the upcoming gym and later on with the rival battle. I could have chosen to skip the gym and battle it later when I'm way overleveled, but I thought trying it now would be more challenging, and I never run from a challenge. Which is a decision that I did not regret at all, or hate myself for, or question my decision making, or Anyways, I chose to battle every trainer in the gym to level up my main Pokemon. Then challenged Brawly. The great thing about Taillow is that not only does it know the stab and super effective move Wing Attack, but it also knows Focus Energy, which raises my crit chance by 2 stages. I use it once and start attacking right away. I was able to get a crit first try against Machop and Metatype, but it used Focus Punch, so it was fine if I didn't. Next is Makuhita, and it's 3 levels higher than me. However, it won't stand a chance if I get a critical hit. I don't the first time, but luckily it went for Bulk Up. Once again, I'm not worried about defense boost, because I can't kill it without a crit anyways. I won't be able to win this battle if Taillow goes down, so I was glad to get the crit on the following turn. Never would I have thought that I would be using Focus Energy in a challenge before, but that really helped. Next we get the experience share, which will help me a lot with leveling up. Then I catch a Pokemon that I feel would be a great addition to my team, and to this challenge, especially if the plan I had in mind works. Gulpin. The next rival battle is difficult. I was going to use Marshtomp for her Slugma and Taillow for her Grovyle, but her Wingull ruined my plans and was lowering my Taillow's HP more than I could afford. So I tried something different. I evolved my Slakoth and gave my now Vigoroth a Silk Scarf to boost its normal attacks, and taught it Bulk Up, which I just received from Brawly. I guess defeating Brawly helped after all. So, if I start the battle by putting her Wingull to sleep using Yawn, set up for a few turns using Bulk Up, and pray that I don't attack myself in the process, I can take down all 3 of her Pokemon using a Stab Scratch, without needing to rely on crits or switching out. After defeating the rival and bullying Willy, we challenge Watson. I am so glad I picked Mudkip because Marshtomp makes this battle a lot easier. Well, that and the AI's decisions. All of Watson's team gets 1 shot from Marshtomp, all except his Manectric. Luckily for me, Watson keeps it last, which gives me a few options. I decided to bring out Shroomish and use Leech Seed. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Leech Seed damage doesn't stack since the enemy will heal the same turn anyways, which is true. However, it still recovers my Pokemon's health. You see, Manectric can only attack me with Quick Attack, and I can either go for Mud Shot and hope I get a crit, or I can take advantage of the fact that he will use Quick Attack to do this. Bind was enough to take it down, but I needed the recovery from Leech Seed to be able to survive, so that worked out perfectly. Things are going great so far. I did not expect to use any of the random strategies I've been using when I started this challenge, but I'm honestly enjoying this. Make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying the challenge so far. And it gets better, because with the 3rd badge, we unlocked a lot of areas on the map, and have a lot of trainers that I can battle and level up my team against. We also have access to the daycare, in case we need to breed a specific Pokemon. Next, I'm going to catch a Cuffing, a Skarmory, a Swablu at round 114, and the Why Not Egg when I eventually make it to Lava Ridge Town. With so many fire and ground typed enemies in this section, it was easy to level up my Marshtomp, which is great because Flannery is coming up soon, and she has a full fire and ground type team. I'm also starting to learn which types will cause me trouble, like this battle against Maxie and his Mightyena. I tried using Self-Destruct with Cuffing, but yeah, that was embarrassing. This is also when I realized that one of my plans will not work. You see, the great thing about Gulpin and Swallow is that they can learn Toxic without having to wait for the TM. Now, we know that the poison damage will get healed, but Toxic increases in damage every turn. So, if I get an enemy Toxic poisoned and wasted enough turns, say by using Leech Seed, the damage will eventually ramp up and take it down in one poison tick damage, right? If you thought so, welcome to the club, but unfortunately that is not the case. It turns out there is a maximum damage that Toxic will reach and then will no longer increase. So I just learned something new and realized that I wasted all this time evolving my Gulpin. Flannery with a level 34 Marshtomp should be easy, so I wasn't worried. But, as in most cases, I was wrong. Yes, I can take down 3 out of 4 of her team with one hit, but her Torkoal is way too tanky. I decided I will either keep losing until I evolve my Marshtomp at level 36, one-shotting Torkoal by then, or get a crit, whichever comes first. I did not get a crit. And it turns out I still don't one-shot with Swampert without a crit. So I brought back my full team and at least tried to make my attempts more efficient while waiting for the crit. I used Vigoroth to put Torkoal to sleep using Yawn, then brought out Shroomish to use Leech Seed. Once again, not for the damage, but to recover my Swampert and keep it alive for as long as possible. Then prayed. But noticed something? His attacks don't kill me. I'm such an idiot. The answer was in front of me all this time. I can just use Bite. Nope. That also did not work. Between getting paralyzed, falling in love, or, dying, I couldn't stay 2 turns in a row without something happening to my Swampert. I tried to make it struggle, but that obviously didn't work because it healed again. So, what to do? Is it hot in here? Yep, should have just done that. Norman is up next, but I have just the right Pokemon for him. And unlike the last embarrassment, I'm sure this one will work. A great strategy I discovered is critically hitting with multi-hit moves, since every hit I land has a chance to crit. If I get my focus energy set up correct, then the plan is simple really, and very easy to do. I just need none of that to happen. Needless to say, it did not work. Forget this stupid plan. Here's what I actually did. Hariyama can take down Spinda and Linoone. This only leaves the 2 biggest threat on his team. For Vigoroth, I use Koffing's self-destruct to take it down. Yeah, it's actually a range, so if this happens, I try again. Koffing should be even more of a threat once it learns Explosion and Destiny Bond. For his slacking, I will use Wobbuffet. But surprisingly, using Destiny Bond is not as straightforward. The AI is too smart, and it knows the moves I'm going for. If I use Destiny Bond right away, he will just use Counter or put me to sleep using Yawn, and then take me down. But if I lock it with Encore, I can then safely use Destiny Bond, and then wait for it to take me down. Next we have a bunch of things we need to do, and a new Pokemon to catch before proceeding with the story. We head to the abandoned ship to get Ice Beam, then head to the optional new Mobile section to get the TM Thunderbolt. And before Winona, I evolved a Gardevoir that I breeded with the Why Not to get it to learn Destiny Bond. And I taught it the TM Thunderbolt that I just got, and learned the hard way that it doesn't learn Ice Beam. Man, I'm terrible at this game. Then I got complimented by Steven for my battling style, right after I ran away from the Kecleon. We take those. Next is Winona. Interesting fact, if I use Yawn right before her Swablu uses Safeguard, I can still get it to sleep. That's why I start with Vigoroth, then switch to Gardevoir as she goes to sleep. Now I get to set up for free, right? Nope, because she will switch to her Tropius, the worst Pokemon in her team now that I don't have an Ice move. I will still go for a second Calm Mind, I just need it to not crit or go for Solar Beam. With 2 Calm Mind setup, I can use Psychic to take Tropius down. She will bring back her Swablu, fully awake and ready to fight because she has Natural Cure. I don't want her to go for Perish Song, so I'll not go for a third Calm Mind. Plus, I'm a threat to the rest of her team, so no need to risk it. I one-shot every other Pokemon except her Altaria. The time I learned that, she went for Dragon Dance and then proceeded to kill my entire team, because I didn't have my Wobbuffet either. So, what to do, what to do, what to do? Yep, should have just done that. What's even better than double battles are double battles with 2 Destiny Bond users. But Tate and Liza's battle is difficult. Even though it's a double battle, I'm underleveled, her team has good synergy, and most of them outspeed mine. I leveled up and evolved my Vigoroth for this battle, because no team synergy can stand up against this angry gorilla. Now let me introduce you to Hyper Beam Slacking, one of the most broken and complementing moves for someone with Truant, because in this gen, the Truant turn skips the recharge from Hyper Beam. And for a challenge that requires attacking with the strongest move possible, a stab Hyper Beam works really well. It's important to manipulate the AI in this battle, so I start out with Slacking and Coughing. Coughing is not here to self-destruct, but to force Psychic from Claydol and Xatu. This stops them from using Earthquake and Calm Mind. Skarmory can also bait Flamethrower, so I tried using it as well. Slacking takes out Xatu first turn, and I use Counter with Wobbuffet, expecting Earthquake from Claydol. This was greedy, but I survived on 1 HP. It gets even better because Solrock felt the need to use Solar Beam against this very low health Wobbuffet. So, Destiny Bond guaranteed the win. Next is some plot shenanigans, and we're able to get the TM Earthquake. A child puzzle game or a double battle against 6 Pokemon. I solved it, I just chose to battle them for the experience, that's all. Next we head to the final gym battle. Love-Disc is not a threat, aside from the annoying confusion and attract. By the way, Love-Disc is his only female Pokemon in the team, which I feel was only intended to make it use attract, which in my opinion is misogynistic and offensive to all female sea creatures out there. I mean, women trapped in a cold underground basement? That happens. But this is where I draw the line. Also, I'm not sure I'm using misogynistic correctly, but it felt right. I can get really low, but as long as I set up 3 or 4 Calm Minds, the battle is basically free. No one else will live or attack before Gardevoir, for the exception of Kingdra, who he wasted his turn on using Double Team. I should have just used Destiny Bond, but I did not miss Psychic, and now have all 8 badges. Time to level up and set up my team for the toughest 7 battles in the game, assuming I make it that far. Wooly has 2 Pokemons that can set up and take over the battle, Altaria and Gardevoir. This part of the game is where slacking will really shine. I was able to take down his Altaria, Gardevoir, and Roselia using Hyper Beam, safely switching in slacking and sacrificing some of my team if I needed. Hariyama takes down Delcatty, and Swampart's Earthquake takes care of Magneton. My team is a bit underleveled, so I level up and evolve my Coughing, and make sure it only evolves at level 45, so that it learns Explosion and Destiny Bond, then gave it Quick Claw. And Hariyama learned Belly Drum, which can become really handy. I'm starting Sydney's battle with slacking, but not for the reasons you would think. I'm making it take the Intimidate and all the sand attacks, while using Yawn waiting for Mightyana to fall asleep. Then I bring out my actual threat, Hariyama. After using Belly Drum, I was able to one-shot Mightyana and his Shiftry. Then I bring out Slacking, and this time around, I plan to put them down to sleep, but forever. Okay, that might have been a bit dark for a children's game. But his remaining Pokemon are a threat to Slacking that I don't even need to switch it out. Unless this happens. So yeah, not a threat at all. My team is not good against Phoebe's Ghost team. In fact, my best option is Gardevoir, a Psychic Pokemon. However, she does have weaknesses of her own. For Dusclaw, I don't need to kill it in one hit. If I do enough damage so that when it uses Curse, it takes itself down, then that should be enough. And that's exactly what I do. First Bayonet is out, and that I take down using Wobbuffet's Destiny Bond. This is also not straightforward because sometimes I can die to the burn damage, which will not trigger Destiny Bond. Next is Sableye, and I would usually go for Weezing to use Destiny Bond. But this time I decided to switch into my Slacking to once again use Yawn, then brought out Gardevoir and was able to get 3 Calm Minds. The great thing about Yawn is knowing exactly when a Pokemon goes to sleep. Now with my increased special attack, I was able to take down her Sableye and Bayonet with Thunderbolt, and finally her second Dusclops with Destiny Bond. This was a tough battle, but we were able to make it. Next is Glacia. I'm starting to like using Slacking as my setup mod, so once again, I used it to put her Celio to sleep, and use Hariyama this time to go for Belly Drum. Then use super effective fighting moves to take down her first Celio, her Glalie, and her second Celio, thanks to poor Pokemon order from her AI. With only 2 Pokemon remaining, it's time for my Suicide Squad to shine. Weezing's Explosion takes down her second Glalie, and Gardevoir's Destiny Bond took care of her Walrein. Drake is a problem. I have no ice moves and was desperate enough that I even taught Swampert Blizzard. The level difference is becoming a problem that even a stab Hyper Beam wouldn't take down his weakest Pokemon. I spent a long time on this battle and tried several strategies. So let's see if this one works. I start this battle with Wobbuffet, and instead of using Destiny Bond right away, I predict Drake's move and use Counter, taking down his Shilgon. Next is Flygon, and it turns out I can survive a second physical hit. That is Wobbuffet's second kill. He's level 38. No wonder this thing is banned in everything. Next is Salamence, and I decided not to sacrifice my Wobbuffet. Instead, I swapped to Weezing, who can survive a Dragon Claw from Salamence, and used Destiny Bond. Another Destiny Bond from Gardevoir, this time taking down his Altaria. Only his Kingdraws remaining, and to play the safe, I use Yawn with Slacking, and guess who's not done with Drake? Wobbuffet. I am really underleveled for Wallace, and I don't outnumber his team, so the Destiny Bond and Explosion strats will not work until I take out more of his team than he does mine. I have to find the setup angle for this battle. Wailord with Water Spout and guaranteeing it will always be at full health is a huge threat. But there is one mistake Wallace makes that I can abuse. He usually starts with Rain Dance. So if I bring out my Wobbuffet and used Encore, I can lock it in for a few turns on a useless move, then bring out Gardevoir to use Calm Mind. The great thing about Encore is that it tells you when it ends, so I can safely set up until this happens. I outspeed and I'm strong enough to take down Wailord with one Thunderbolt. Tentacruel got me poisoned, which is unfortunate, but I was able to one-shot it with Psychic and took down Ludicolo with Destiny Bond. That is half his team down already for just my Gardevoir. This is a good spot to be in, so I decided to take some risk and went for counter with Wobbuffet against his Whiscash instead of using Destiny Bond. I mean, I should be able to live a hit. Not even close. I switched to Weezing when he brings out Gyarados and used Destiny Bond. And just to be safe against his final Pokemon Melodic, I use Yawn to put it to sleep and bring no other than the MVP of this team to take down the champion. One Destiny Bond later and the battle's won. Alright, final boss time. I decided I'll give Steven a try with this team and see how far I can get. Needless to say, this can sometimes go really badly. But we might have a chance. I'm going to start with Wobbuffet once again and try and land counter on his Skarmory. Then I will switch to Slacking to use Yawn as he switches to Cradily. I can't guarantee not getting hit from Cradily, but in this attempt, it went for Confuse Ray and Ingrain, which is perfect. I then use Destiny Bond, taking it down, and use Weezing's Destiny Bond to take down his Claydol. This leaves half his team left, and next is his Aggron. If I use Yawn and then sacrifice my Swampert until it falls asleep, I can bring out Hariyama safely. I'll try to use Belly Drum followed by Brick Break. With Aggron's 4-time weakness to fighting moves, I was able to take it down in one hit. I somehow managed to get a fully set up Pokemon in this battle, but unfortunately, I'll have to switch it out right away. Armaldo's strong, but not fast, so Gardevoir can go first with Destiny Bond. This will only leave his Metagross. I need it to go for a physical attack, basically anything but Psychic. If it does and I survive it, I will use counter and take it down. But if it doesn't, the battle is over for me. We came really close, but I was happy with the progress. I went back to check if there is a chance Steven would use a different move, and it turns out he could have. If that had happened, the battle would have been in my favor. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me in the comments if you'd like to see me try this in other Pokemon games, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. See you all next time.